In today's episode, we are diving into the debate that every comic book fan has thought about. Are conventions really better than comic shops? Let's find out. Comic fans have a unique dilemma. They have to choose between two amazing options, each with its own set of perks and advantages. On one hand, you have the comic shops, which are essentially a hub for all things comics, where fans can gather, discuss, and purchase their favorite comics and merchandise. On the other hand, you have the conventions, which are like a big celebration of all things geek and pop culture, where fans can meet their favorite creators, attend panels, and buy exclusive merchandise.
So the cost of attending conventions can be quite high, with ticket prices, travel, other accommodations, such as if you're in a different city.
Hotel.
So this can be a major hurdle for some fans and who are on a tight budget, making it difficult for them to attend these conventions. And in contrast, comic shops are a lot more accessible.
You don't have to pay to get in.
Yeah, with lower costs, and a more relaxed atmosphere, and most towns have a comic book shop, so
one.
It's not really hard to reach. So there are a lot. We live in an area where within an hour vicinity we could go to a lot of comic book shops if we wanted to.
And we have visited many of them. Check back at our old episodes where we visit comic shops, one of our favorite things to do.
But comic book shops do have limited hours of operations, so it can make it difficult for some fans to visit depending on what their work schedule is and other things like that. And the experience of attending a convention is also very different from visiting a comic book shop. With conventions offer a much more immersive and exciting experience, while comic book shops provide a lot more personalized and intimate one, but also can be a lot more narrow on what you can find.
Yeah, and if you go to your local comic shop, they probably know you in there, and they probably know what you like, and they probably put stuff aside for you sometimes. At a convention, maybe not the same. There's a whole bunch of different vendors. They may not know who you are. Fans also have to consider the accessibility of conventions and comic shops, with some conventions being held in large cities, New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, Terrific Con, while others may be held in small towns or rural areas. We go to a lot of small conventions. They're in smaller cities throughout New Jersey mainly, and some in New York, smaller places. This can make it difficult for other fans who live in remote areas to attend these events. We've heard from a lot of our subscribers that they don't have conventions near them. The furthest one is 3-4 hours away. That's a problem for some people. Comic shops, on the other hand, can be found in almost any large city or small town. Large cities have multiple comic shops. The experience of attending a convention can also be overwhelming. Just ask Brian about New York Comic Con last year.
Your conventions, you're, elbow to elbow, shoulder to shoulder with people.
Well, comic shops tend to be way more low-key and way more relaxed.
If you're at a comic book shop and you're kind of elbowing everyone to get through, and
good for them.
I guess it's
maybe
a very popular spot. So the challenge of choosing between attending a convention and visiting a comic book shop can be a difficult one, but as both options tend to have their unique advantages and disadvantages, fans have to weigh for themselves the cost, the benefits of each options, and consider their own personal preferences and priorities. Some fans may prefer the excitement and energy of conventions. Another aspect of conventions I personally love is I love seeing cosplay. I like to cosplay once in a while, so that's something that you'll get at a convention, and definitely probably not a comic shop. While others may prefer the more personalized and intimate experience of comic shops that also will have less crowds.
Very good point. The benefits of conventions are numerous, with fans being able to meet their favorite creators, attend panels and workshops, and buy exclusive merchandise. Some of the stuff at New York Comic Con you can't get anywhere else. Conventions also provide a sense of community and belonging, with fans being able to connect with others who share similar interests. There's a lot of different fan groups out there, and conventions are where a lot of them end up meeting up. In contrast, comic shops provide a more personalized and intimate experience, with fans being able to browse and purchase comics and merchandise in a relaxed and welcoming atmosphere. Comic shops also often host their own events, and those are definitely more personalized too, such as book signings and cosplay contests, which can be a lot of fun for fans. So kind of similar in ways, but to me, conventions are a bigger scale. You know, a big convention, it's going to be much bigger than any comic shop you've ever visited.
Conventions also offer a unique opportunity for fans to meet their favorite creators and actors. We have met quite a bit of big celebrities.
Yeah. And you would never get that at a comic shop.
Yeah, you would never... Well, maybe you would, because we met Anthony Mackie years ago at a convention, and he was just at Midtown Comics.
But he was shopping.
I know. And he was promoting Captain America. So your chances of meeting a big celebrity at comic book shops are pretty low, unless you're in Midtown Comics.
Or you're in by Hollywood at the comic shop.
So conventions do offer that experience, and to get other comics and merchandise signed by those creators, by those actors.
I know people who go to conventions and have stacks of comics like this to get signed, like that. You can't do that at a comic shop.
And this can be really exciting. I mean, I find it very exciting. I don't know. Who would you say your favorite person
that we met was?
David Tennant was pretty exciting.
Tennant was cool. Norman Reedus was really
Norman
cool.
Reedus was probably the nicest
but then
that we've ever met.
Disappointing too. Princess Leia.
No, but I met her when I was a kid, and meeting Carrie Fisher was a little disappointing.
We'll tell you that story at the end of this video.
But on the topic of conventions, you do get the ability to meet your heroes for the first time, and it just offers such a wide range of fandoms that maybe comic book shops don't offer. And most conventions also tend to have exclusive merchandise that are only being sold at that one convention. I mean, anyone who goes to New York Comic Con knows that every year there is different exclusives.
Even the vendors have exclusive
that you can only ever get at that time.
Yeah, I've had a lot of trouble over the years with that.
Yeah, so that can be a major draw.
Funko.
Yeah, Funko is always crazy. But that could be a major draw for conventions who are looking to add something special to their collection that you will not find anywhere else. But comic shops do offer a more curated selections of comics and merchandise with staff who are typically a lot more knowledgeable and passionate about comics. This can make it easier for fans to discover new titles and characters and get recommendations from the people who share their interests.
It's a much more relaxed feel at a shop than it is at a convention.
I mean, definitely. You don't feel rushed.
You don't. And in a comic book shop, there are the majority of people in there are people who are comic collectors or fans of something.
I would say because I mean, we are talking about the debate between comic book shops and conventions, but I think there's also a huge difference between small convention and big convention.
Difference.
Because at small conventions, I mean, the vendors we've met are very nice, very knowledgeable about the things that they are selling, the comics that are selling. They'll be completely honest with you. Their pricing is usually very good.
Really?
Whereas at the bigger conventions, you do get a lot of people who bought really big titles and are trying to sell it for the most money that they can.
And we don't blame them for that.
That's no problem. But for comic book fans and people who are trying to get, these big comics, buying it at a big convention
and the same thing holds true with comic shops. At most comic shops, when you go into them, and I love comic shops, they have overhead. They have to pay rent. They have to pay employees. They are charging more for comic books most of the time than a vendor at a small convention. So the sense of community and belonging that convention provide is also a major benefit, with fans being able to connect with others who share similar interests. They have panels, they have get-togethers. You don't normally get that at a comic shop. Conventions often have a lively and energetic atmosphere, with fans being able to participate in cosplay contests, attend panels, and join in on discussions and debate. In contrast, comic shops often have a more relaxed and intimate atmosphere, with fans being able to browse and purchase comics and merchandise and chat with the owners in a welcoming and supportive environment. Comic shops also often host their own events and activities, such as book clubs and art classes, which can be a lot of fun for fans. Brian attends a book club every single month at the Geekery in New Jersey.
I would say one of the most compelling arguments for attending conventions is the opportunity to meet and greet with industry professionals and get a glimpse at the latest and greatest in the world of comics. So
we've talked to a number of creators, and creators find the big conventions as a place to actually make contacts, and they build their portfolio and build their ability to work with other companies at a convention.
I mean, I've actually also seen at conventions people bring their
portfolios.
their art portfolios and show it to comic creators and comic artists to get their feedback on it, what they should be doing if they want to work in comic books.
Business at conventions, meeting and, shaking hands and making
So that's definitely an opportunity that you get, I would say, only mostly at conventions, and the only way that you would get it at comic book shops is if they have a special event where they're bringing a creator in.
Yeah, but it would be one creator, whereas at convention
it would be at one creator. And also we're talking about where we live in New York, New Jersey area, so those are popular comic book shops. I don't know what, comic book shops in more rural areas, if they really have big creators come and visit.
Let us know in the comments if you live in a more rural area in your comic shop. Let us know what your comic shop is like. We'd love to hear about comic shops throughout the world.
Yeah, but so many fans have reported that they have had life-changing experiences at conventions, and I would say I have. I mean, I've met some of my favorite celebrities, and they're meeting the people who inspired their passions and motivated them to, pursue this creative passion. On the other hand, comic book shops provide a sense of comfort and familiarity. Most people, when they go to a comic book shop, they're visiting
every Wednesday.
Yeah, you get yours every Wednesday. So they're visiting either every week or every other week. So you're able to revisit your favorite titles and characters in a much more calm environment. And fans have reported to forming close bonds with staff and even other customers who are buying the same things as them. And that can be very powerful and more meaningful because you're connecting with people who live in your area.
We have had on this show, we've had 2 guests who are our comic book vendors, people that we bought comic books from at our local comic shop. They have become our friends. We go to conventions with them now, and they have been on this show. So we became friendly with our local comic shop owners and workers, and comic shop is a very community built place. If you go every week, they get to know you, you get to know them. It's how it should be. Convention is not like that. Fans who attend conventions report feeling a sense of awe and wonder, with the sheer scale and spectacle of the event being overwhelming. They also report feeling a sense of connection and community, with the opportunity to meet and greet with other fans being a major highlight of a convention. In contrast, fans who visit comic shops report feeling a sense of relaxation and calm, with the intimacy and welcoming atmosphere being a major draw. The intimacy at a convention is very different than the intimacy at a comic book shop. In a convention, you're meeting with a smaller group of people who maybe like the same things you have. At a comic shop, it's pretty much everybody in there is, kind of in it together. You're supporting your local comic shop. You're supporting a local business. You're helping a small business in your community thrive. Some fans have even reported feeling a sense of nostalgia and sentimentality, with comic shops reminding them of their childhood and their earliest experience with comics. When I was a kid, the only place I ever bought comic books was a comic shop near me. That's just how it was. I couldn't go to comic conventions because I was too little. When I started going on my own, I was much older, unlike some people in this episode. Cassie's been going to conventions since she was like...
I was in the 5th grade. That was when my first convention was, which was New York Comic Con.
Her first convention, you heard it right, was New York Comic Con. At 9 years old? 10 years old?
Yeah, how old was I?
There you go.
But what I would like to say about conventions is... Okay, growing up, I think for a lot of people who are they like nerdy things, comics. I mean, I grew up loving Star Wars. I had a lot of Star Wars action figures. And even when I was growing up, it wasn't considered,
cool.
Yeah, it wasn't considered cool, but also, especially if you're a girl, if you were a girl who liked that stuff, you were a loser. So I was made fun of for some of this stuff. And then when I went to my first convention, I dressed up as Princess Leia. I was in the 5th grade, and just seeing...
She had a good dad.
Yeah. Thank you. But seeing everyone... I mean, obviously people are fans of different things, but seeing this huge community. I mean, New York Comic Con is thousands of people. Seeing all these people
like you.
like the same thing as me. People I mean, I was a kid, but people, no one's judging you at a comic convention or a comic book shop. But I just feel at a comic convention, it's a much larger scale, and so you just really feel that sense of this is a place where I am welcome, and like, wow, all these people have similar interests as me, and honestly, my first convention was one of the first times I felt truly accepted because no one was judging me. I mean, even walking down the New York streets and riding the subway dressed in cosplay.
If you've ever been to New York Comic Con is not confined to the Javits Center where it is. The whole surrounding area, it becomes Comic Con. There's people walking around in costume. There's people going, hey, nice costume, nice thing. Yeah, you got red on your shirt. There's a whole bunch of things going on around the area. You go into a restaurant or a bar around the convention center, and there's people who are at the convention, and they know you were at the convention, and you just start talking with random people. The whole part of the city becomes...
But as a kid, that was super impactful on me, and, I don't know, really helped.
Okay.
But... anyway, to get back to our debate and not as personal.
Not personal, we're debating.
The insight of industry professionals is also a major benefit of attending conventions, with fans being able to learn from and get feedback from experienced creators and editors, as we have stated. So this can be really powerful in, especially fans who are looking to break into an industry that might seem really hard to get into.
We talk to people when we go to conventions now very differently than we did years ago, because now we talk about the show. And some people actually, for us, going to conventions, one of the coolest things about going to conventions and talking about, meeting people is that people actually recognize us now.
It's so weird. It's fun, but I'm just not used to it.
It's just not something that we anticipated when we started this channel, that we would go to a convention and someone would be like, hey, you're the Collector's Confession guy.
You like Fantastic Four. You like Star Wars.
And people watch our videos and know. And we appreciate every one of you that watch our videos. And we appreciate if you come up to us at a convention.
Yeah, if you see us at a convention or a comic book shop.
Come and say hello to us. And we will take a picture and we'll put you in the next level. We love talking to people that like the same things that we like.
But comic book shops also provide a sense of continuity and tradition. Because...
we go every week.
You go. It becomes a habit.
Routine. It's your routine.
It's your routine.
I would be lost if I didn't have
if you didn't have your weekly comics.
I would be lost.
So you always know that there's a place to visit.
And you know the people there.
You know the people there. Whereas conventions, a convention usually happens once a year, that same convention. And there might be different conventions, but you're never going to get the same exact community. Other than if you're going to Queen's Comic Book Party every month, because we've been loving going there.
You get to really know the people when you go to the conventions over and over. And over the last couple of years, we've met a lot of vendors that know us now, and as soon as we go in, they know who we are and they know what we like. So, the most compelling argument of all may be the sense of belonging and connection. As Cassidy has mentioned before, this occurs both in conventions and comic shops. So it's something that works for both of them. The whole point of collecting comics is not only to have something tangible in your hand, but to be part of a community. That's why we started Collector's Confessions. We wanted a place where we could build a community online, which is where a lot of communities are being built right now, and we can invite people into what we like and what we do, and we love hearing from you guys. So comment what you like and what you do. You like comic shops? You like conventions better? Which one is better for you? So, I really can't make a decision.
I can.
On convention or comic shop, I'll be honest with you, because I think both offer a sense of community and a sense of belonging in different ways. Yes, comic book shops are way more intimate than comic conventions, but comic conventions give you a chance to meet new people, new vendors, make new friends, make some connections. A comic shop is it's the comfort food. It's comfortable to go there and know the people that are there, and those people know what your passions are, and those people know what you're interested in. At a convention, maybe not so much.
I personally prefer conventions just because I'm not a huge comic collector. I really only
you prefer small conventions, right?
Yeah, I really like buying.
New York Comic Con, though.
I like buying from small businesses, original small businesses who are selling maybe art or keychains or something to that effect, versus the big I'm not that comic book shops are corporate, but like at conventions,
Comic shops
they're
are not corporate.
no, but like I'm thinking about New York Comic Con where there
It's
are
corporate.
a lot of brand names that you're gonna buy from. I prefer to buy from the more small businesses where it's just, you know, one or two people, and this is what they love doing. They love going to conventions. So I mean, we go to the same conventions every year typically, and there are creators who
Typically.
I love seeing every year. I mean, Garden State, which is coming up in
Yep.
June.
Yep.
There's always an artist I buy from there, and I love their work.
And that's it. So, I mean,
So,
both have their advantages
I think
and
for
disadvantages.
I think for me, based on what I like, I also mostly like pop culture. I like a lot of movies. I love horror. So that's
You don't
something.
get a lot of
yeah,
that
you
at a
don't get
comic
a
shop.
lot of that at a comic book
point.
shop. And also, I find at conventions, small conventions, because you can't really do this much at big conventions, but you can barter. So also
100%.
so even though, and a lot of the smaller conventions that we've gone to are maybe max $5 to get in, and typically the smaller conventions are raising that money for a charity. It's a fundraiser for something.
Yeah.
So
And
I mean,
vendors
we
are
went.
more likely because of the cost
Yeah.
of the table, too. Small conventions, the cost of a table is
a lot cheaper.
way less than the New York Comic Con or a San Diego Comic Con or even a Terrificon, probably. So, listen, a comic convention is exciting. That's the draw. You're going to get a lot of things that you don't normally get at a comic shop. A comic shop, more intimate, more relaxed. You get to know the people. For us, I think what our final decision will be in this debate is that small comic conventions are a mixture of both. You have creators there, but you have an intimacy because you see the same people every time you go to the convention. So if you have a small convention in your area and you haven't been there, I highly recommend going to a small convention. Continue to support your local comic shop. They are the lifeblood of this hobby. If there were no shops, I'm not sure how much longer this hobby would last.
I mean, but also, if you do go to a small convention and you find a creator who you really like, ask them where they're going to be next.
Or
Because
a vendor. Not only creators,
yeah,
vendors.
creators and vendors. That's what we
Artists.
do a lot. If there's an artist that we like, we'll say, where are you going to be next? What conventions do you have coming up?
It legitimizes the convention for us.
Yeah.
So, if you're a comic book fan, we'd love to hear about your own experiences with conventions and comic shops in the comments. Comment. Have you attended a convention and met your favorite creator? Or do you have a favorite comic shop that you go to every week? Let us know. And be sure to check out our videos on the history of different comic books, where we explore origins and evolutions of different characters, and check out our interviews with different creators. For us, one of our original intentions with this channel was to try to bring a comic convention to you in our videos. So we interview creators, we talk to comic book vendors, we talk to comic book shops. We try to get everything involved in comic books into our channel. I hope you enjoyed this video about the debate between comic convention or comic shop. I really hope you comment and give us your opinion on this one. This one is one we were really looking forward to recording. Hope you enjoyed it. Before we go, we promised you the story of Carrie
Meeting
Fisher.
Carrie Fisher.
Let Cassidy tell the beginning of it.
So it was at New York Comic Con. It was my first convention. So it would have had to be New York Comic Con 2012
Okay.
because I was in 5th grade.
That's okay, 2012.
So
It would be my first New York Comic Con since like 1994, because
But
I
it
only
was-
went when they wanted to stock up.
yeah, so it was my first convention ever, and it was just my dad and I, because my sister usually comes with us, but at the first couple she didn't come with us, so it was just the two of us.
She was too cool. She was in 7th grade.
I was really excited to meet Carrie Fisher.
That's why
I
we went.
was dressed up as Princess Leia, so
From
New Hope. So I had a Party City costume. It was the white dress. I had the wig on, and I mean, how old was I?
You were like
I
9
was
years old.
9 years old. So I was going to meet someone who, to me, was my hero. I mean, I grew up watching Star Wars. Princess Leia was my favorite. And I just really looked up to her. She's a very strong female character in Star Wars. And I was very excited to meet Carrie Fisher. So I also, even though, because like 5th grade, I feel like is kind of that in between where like you, like I know she's not the character, but you still have
point.
that sense of like, I'm meeting this character. Because I feel like
Right, you see
Yeah.
her more as Princess Leia than Carrie Fisher.
yeah, so that's what we mainly went to New York. I really don't. The only other thing I remember about that New York Comic Con is walking in Artist Alley, and I ended up buying a Princess Leia print because
and not
someone,
waiting online 'cause
yeah,
it wasn't crowded that year.
So
It wasn't as popular as it is
we
now.
went online for Carrie Fisher, and I don't know how old she had to have been at that time. We waited online for about 2.5 hours.
It was a long
Which
line.
nowadays,
She was a big draw.
Yeah, nowadays that's probably not that long for celebrities. I mean, the lines are really, really long nowadays, but back then, that was, I mean, you were really angry that we were waiting that
It's a
long.
long time online.
And then we're the next people.
The next people.
We're the
She's
next people to
a little
meet.
cute little 8-year-old dressed like Princess Leia. The only girl in line. The only little girl.
I mean,
in
it
line
was
dressed
mostly
like
older
her. It was
men,
mostly
like
men.
Yeah, middle-aged men
My age
there.
who were Star Wars fans since they were kids. She was one of the only kids, and she was the only kid dressed as Princess Leia.
So we're next to meet her, and then
Like they're on
yeah,
that. Like we're
I
looking
can
at
see her, and I'm holding like a Princess Leia thing, and I'm like, oh my god, and then she gets up and leaves, and the worker
While we're
told us,
standing there.
yeah,
2.5 hours.
the worker told us she was going to smoke a cigarette, and being told that as a child, I was like, oh.
I was not happy. To say the least, I was not happy.
And then the worker was telling us that the day before, Carrie Fisher had been acting crazy with fans. And then we had to wait longer.
We waited longer.
And then she came back, and I was still super excited. I was still meeting, she deserves her break. I mean, as a kid, the waiting didn't feel like that long to me because I'm a kid.
To me, it was long. I was not happy.
Then I'm dressed as Princess Leia, and I'm going up to her, and she doesn't even look up. She just, she gets the picture to sign.
We expected an at least some comment, something.
Yeah,
'Cause
she
again,
doesn't.
To me, it's a younger fan. It's the next generation of fans that are going to support you, and it was dismissed.
Yeah, so, but then as an adult, when I look back on it, I'm like, I met Carrie Fisher. I mean, how many Star Wars fans can say that they met Princess Leia?
Definitely not our favorite interaction with
And actually, let me go get the autograph.
So we actually have been in situations where we love the person that we spoke to, and we'll probably we'll do a follow-up video on our 5 favorite interactions.
We definitely should rank the people we've met.
We have met a lot of celebrities over the years, and some of them are nice and some of them aren't, just like people.
Alright, wait, let me get the autograph. Okay, so this is the autograph. I picked this picture because I really like her outfit in Return of the Jedi is my favorite of the originals. So it says, "Love to Cassidy," and then it's her signature right here.
It's custom framed.
Yeah, custom framed by Dad.
Custom framed, no, but we had years ago, me and my best friend at the time, where is it?
It's at the top.
Company where we did custom framing. Is it upside down? Oh, it's gonna be this way. Sorry. There we go. Hold on, I can't get this.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Empire memorabilia. There you go. So there you go.
So I mean, I am very happy that I met her, but it's not one of the best celebrity experiences it's not even.
We'll talk about that in a future episode. I know who my number 1 will be. Cassidy, last words?
Love what you collect.
And collect what you love. We'll see you next time at a convention or a shop.